missiles in the sky, warplanes in motion, and 3 nuclear sites obliterated. The Middle East was once again on the brink. But just as it seemed like the region would plunge into another long war, a ceasefire was suddenly announced. Iran, Israel, and the United States, all three claiming victory, but who really gained what? Let's find out. In today's DOAP Perspective, we break down the power plays, propaganda, and perception battle behind this conflict. What does this peace actually mean? And is it here to stay? The conflict began with Israel's precision strikes on Iranian nuclear and military facilities. Soon after, the US launched Operation Midnight Hammer, bombing 3 nuclear sites deep inside Iran using their B 2 bombers. The world held its breath as Iran retaliated with missile strikes on Israel and later a calculated strike on the US air base in Qatar. And then, as suddenly it started, it stopped. A ceasefire was brokered, but this wasn't just a pause in combat. This was a carefully scripted exit for all three actors, each writing their own version of the truth. Let's first speak about America's tactical triumph: power without casualties. The United States entered the conflict reluctantly, or so it said. But once it did, it demonstrated overwhelming force, striking Iran's nuclear strikes with precision. Trump's messaging was clear: obliterate and exit. Despite attacking, the US suffered no casualties. Thanks to Iran's advance warning before striking, AI obeyed base. This allowed Trump to step back without losing face, positioning himself both warrior and peacemaker. A win in perception, military dominance, and political timing. Now it's about Israel's victory in optics and alliances. Israel had already shown its strength before the US joined in, eliminating Iranian IRGC commanders and binding Tehran's air defense. But its biggest win was pulling the US into the war. For Prime Minister Netanyahu, this alliance comes at a politically critical time, helping bolster his position ahead of next year's elections. For Tel Aviv, the joint strikes reaffirmed its strategic value to Washington and its ability to shape the regional security discourse. Iran's calculated resistance preferred messaging over missiles. Iran found itself cornered but not without options. It responded but with limits. The strike on the US base in Qatar, after warning, was a masterstroke of signaling. No American deaths, no US retaliation, yet enough fire to feed Iran's domestic narrative. We stood up to the superpower. Even as missiles fell till minutes before the ceasefire, Iran ensured plausible deniability and dignity and secured an off ramp to avoid full scale war. Does this feel like a fragile peace or just the eye of the storm? The ceasefire brings momentary relief, but the aftershocks remain. Iran denies the scale of damage to its nuclear sites. Western powers are unsure of Tehran's uranium stockpile status, and the appetite for retaliation hasn't disappeared. It's just been postponed. This conflict may be over for now, but the question is not whether war returns, it's when will it return. So who really won? The US flexed its muscles without escalation, Israel has reasserted its military dominance, and Iran safeguarded its image of defiance. But underneath the optics, the region remains on edge, with diplomacy hanging by a thread. In modern warfare, perception is power. And in the battle of narratives, all three players walked off the battlefield claiming victory. This was a DOP Perspective. For more grounded strategic insights, subscribe to the channel. Until then, stay aware and stay wise.